School board member Michelle McKissick tells me she was reaching for the car door about to get in, and then moments later that bullet hit her windshield. Earlier today, I was the only person to ask Director Rawlings a question about the use of force investigations that were started recently. One victim was found on this street. The other three were found on North Montgomery. I want to step out of the way because it is still a very active crime scene. Once cases started coming here, they decided to turn this into the full COVID-19 wing. Reporting in East Memphis, Kirstin Garriss. This is 6 days of protest, 6 days of being out here for hours at a time, walking miles at a time. Yes, where do we go? Because you've talked about not letting this movement just stay here. Right. Where do we go from here? But it still took countless emails from our team to get even partial updates about these investigations. 33 interstate shootings this year. Just let that sink in. All this on a place that many of us use every single day. 72 murders this year compared to 55 during the same time in 2020. 2 of those deadly shootings happening just yesterday. And if you're planning to spend some of the 4th of July holiday outside like myself, ooh, child, you better prepare because we're going to have heat, we're going to have humidity. He was on life support for more than 25 days. That's almost a month. They say doctors asked them several times if they wanted to take him off, but the family said no. This video may be a little blurry, but the emotions are crystal clear.
It was amazing to be able to have him come through those doors and not be in a body bag.
It's a moment Chandra Johnson Hampton prayed for. She says more than a month ago, this is what her father looked like. He was in the hospital fighting for his life in a battle against COVID-19.
It was just unreal. Like, you didn't know which way to turn, but through it all, you still just got to have faith and trust in God.
Johnson Hampton says it's faith that got them to this moment. She says her father was on life support for 28 days. Johnson Hampton says doctors asked them not once, not twice, but 3 times if they wanted to take him off, but the family said no.
My mom, as she stated, and I quote her, God is going to do one or two things. He's going to raise my husband up to a full recovery, or he's going to call him home. And that's what she told the doctors.
She says a few days later, her father opened his eyes and squeezed the doctor's hand.
Words can't even express how we all felt. And if you just listened to the cheer, you probably would have thought it was more people there, but it was only 4 of us.
But now there's a new test in their testimony. Earlier this week, Johnson Hampton says her mother tested positive for COVID-19, even after she isolated herself for weeks.
It's kind of mind-boggling to me. And of course, the devil, of course, wants us to think it's a setback, but it's not. We still gonna trust and believe in God, you know. So if he bring us to it, he can bring us through it.
Unfortunately, Johnson Hampton says her mother is not showing symptoms, and she says she's being quarantined in a separate part of the house away from her father. But she says her dad is not out of the woods just yet. They say the virus took a big toll on his body, so part of his recovery includes physical therapy, and now he's on dialysis. But again, this family is so grateful that both parents are alive tonight. Doctors say the numbers speak for themselves. Trauma staff tell me they have treated 76 gunshot wounds so far this year. That is 76 times a child has come here with an injury involving a gun, and in some cases, it ended their lives. Whether she's on call or not, Dr. Regan Williams gets a page for every bad trauma that comes into Le Bonheur Children's Hospital.
I pause every time. I'm like, oh God, there's a gunshot wound to the chest coming in. And it's in a 12-year-old. And I just know that that's not going to be good.
Just like the number of homicides, Dr. Williams says the number of youth gunshot wounds is higher than normal this year. Le Bonheur treated 67 gunshot wounds in 2018. Those numbers increased to 89 last year. And so far this year, doctors treated 76 gunshot wounds. Not all of them are deadly injuries, but Williams says it's still too many.
We want children to grow up and have great lives and go on to be wonderful adults. And so when you have somebody come in and it's the end of their life so early, it's really, really sad and frustrating. And sometimes we feel a bit helpless because it just keeps happening. And it's such a big problem that we keep trying to address.
So how do you cope with this kind of trauma? Dr. Williams says she stays focused on her goal, decreasing gun-related injuries in children.
So if it was a drive-by, how do I fix that? If it was accidental because there was a loaded gun in the glove compartment, how do I fix that? And so really for me, it motivates me to keep working on this very difficult problem that I know together as a community, we can make large, big improvements.
And Dr. Williams says the emotional and mental stress caused by this ongoing pandemic, school closures, and even the social unrest are likely driving some of this increase. Live in the medical district, Kirstin Garriss, Fox 13 News. These protests are about black men and how black people in general are treated by police. And for Brandon Williams, he's not just a black man, a black father, he's also a born and bred Memphian. So for him, he's now capturing these moments and this movement in his own hometown.
It's a stress reliever.
It's a stress reliever that's taken Brandon Williams to the center of these protests throughout downtown Memphis.
The first one, I was a little nervous just based off what I've been seeing on TV. I didn't know what to expect, but I've been back 3 times since then.
Capturing more than just a moment in time, but a movement in the making.
So I go through some pictures, and some of the signs I see from white people, yeah, I'm just amazed at how passionate they are, just like we are about the certain situation.
Walking ahead of the front line, Williams isn't alone. He's one of several black men who are independent photographers, bringing into focus a cultural shift in his own hometown.
It's empowering. You know, every black person isn't a thug or whatever. You know, you got some good ones out here, and that's what I'm saying. I'm saying good guys that's trying to shed a positive light.
A positive light he's sharing with the next generation, his eldest daughter who walked with him during the latest demonstration.
She's a part of history now. So I wanted her to be a part of history. She wanted to be a part of history. So I felt like it was the perfect opportunity to let her get a piece of history.
Williams says he's lost count of how many photos he's taken, but he won't forget the feeling of pride that lingers after every march, a feeling you can't always capture with a camera.
With the city not having the riots and burning up stuff and all that, like that's proud. That's a proud thing within itself, because you talk to people about Memphis, it's Memphis this, Memphis that, and we're one of the cities that have done none of the looting or the rioting, and everything has been in order and, you know, calm.
And many of these independent photographers are sharing their work on social media. Williams says he also wanted to be out here to capture these protests for people who couldn't come out here in person, people like his own parents, so they could also be a part of this historic moment for our city. Live in downtown Memphis, Kirstin Garriss.